Have you been considering making the move to Phoenix, Arizona, and you need to know the step-by-step process on how to get here? Well, in today's video, I'm going over exactly that, so go ahead and keep on watching. Welcome back to Phoenix Living. I'm Nicole Baker. Today we are going over exactly that. Before we get started, you know the drill. I have to let you guys know I'm a licensed realtor here in this beautiful state. So if you've been thinking about relocating, go ahead and reach out. My number and email are popping up. If you're not quite ready to reach out yet, no problem. Go ahead and subscribe. I'll be posting videos just like this one every Monday and Thursday at 5 p.m. But let's get started in today's video. Alright guys, first things first is you want to start off with, drumroll, watching these videos. So if you're watching this video, you're probably already one step ahead, because I feel like the number one thing that you're probably already doing is researching. Researching is a super huge part of relocating in general, because it's not necessarily the little steps that have to do with actually getting to Phoenix, Arizona, but deciding on where in Phoenix Metro you want to live. Phoenix is a huge area. So you could either be in the East Valley, you could be in the West Valley, and each of those locations have about, I don't know, 20, there's probably close to 40 cities that you could potentially be moving to in the Phoenix metro area. Surrounding, like, Phoenix is in the center, and it's kind of like, it's like a half moon, right? So not a lot of things in the bottom half, but mostly going up top and out on the sides. There's tons and tons of different suburbs, and a lot of them do offer the same things, but a lot of them are completely opposites of each other. So researching is super important. Not only are you just researching neighborhoods, but you're researching also school districts. I know that's super important to so many families, especially when moving here. You want to know, is this school district going to be safe and great for my kids, like good academics, all of these things. I don't have kids, so never take my word on school districts. I only go off of what niche.com says. So if you guys want more information on school districts, go ahead and check out that down below. Niche.com is an awesome resource that is going to give you guys tons of knowledge outside of what I'm just saying, outside of what you guys can just find like in forums, Facebook groups, things like that. You definitely want to be checking out niche.com. It has basically reviews of like all of these different cities, and they kind of talk about the schools, they talk about the crime, things that are obviously going to be important to any family that's moving to a new area that has no idea what they're, getting themselves into essentially. Another thing is, obviously, you guys want to reach out to me. I can only do so much from these videos. I feel like that goes without saying. I want you guys to watch all of the videos, get as much knowledge as you guys possibly can, but some things are not going to be able to be answered via these videos. They're very broad, right? So I know every family is going to have a different scenario that you guys are going to have to run past someone that is familiar with the area. So if you guys reach out to me, I think I've said this in my videos a million times, I am a native to Arizona. I was born and raised here. I could tell you, if you say, oh, that big tree next to Walgreens, I could tell you the exact cross streets and all the neighborhoods around it. So you guys will definitely want to reach out if you guys want to make sure you don't move to the wrong area, because not every area is going to fit every family's lifestyle. So definitely reach out. Super important, but research in general is going to be your guys' number one first concern. Next step, you guys have done tons of research now, and you have even reached out to me for more information. Well, first thing I'm going to do is set us up on a Zoom call so we can go over exactly what your plan is and how I can help you in that plan, and if I can answer any questions to, I guess, really figure out what you guys want to do. Like, where do you want to live? I know a lot of areas, and I'm sure you guys have watched a lot of videos at this point. You want to know what areas really truly work for you based off of, a lot of you guys are looking for my opinion, and I am 100% very transparent. You guys will learn that if you guys do watch my channel a lot. I'm honest about everything when it comes to moving because I have moved out of state before. It is not an easy process by any means. And you really want to know everything before putting yourself in a bad situation. So I will listen to everything that you guys have to say. We will hop on a Zoom call and we will kind of map out exactly what you guys are looking for. I go over a little bit more about the home buying process, a little bit more about relocation and how you should be planning ahead outside of just these videos. And then also on top of that, we kind of go into more in depth on what areas you guys are looking for and what housing you can expect. The next thing that you're going to want to do, and I'm going to give you this information when we talk on our Zoom calls, is get pre-approved. If you're not pre-approved, it will make your life so much harder. And I know a lot of people want to say, oh, we want to wait to get pre-approved. Guys, you're really only hurting yourself. And I'm not just saying that. I'm being so genuine. I've had this happen a million times where people just don't know what they're pre-approved for. So then they start shopping for housing that isn't necessarily in their budget. Or they do know what they at least think they know what they're pre-approved for and what they're comfortable with, but they don't understand how much monthly that costs. I've had it happen multiple times where then they see the monthly payment and they're like, oh, I did not know that's how much a month it was going to cost. And I was like, yes, that's why we want to get pre-approved before we even start looking. Granted, I think it'll help a lot even if you get pre-approved before doing a lot of research, because at the end of the day, some neighborhoods based off of your budget are just not going to be appropriate. But I think to get a better idea of where exactly you guys can live, we want to get pre-approved. Pre-approvals are very simple. Takes like 24 hours to get a response time back. Takes about 20 minutes online, or if you guys are more comfortable with talking to someone, you can do that too. I do have a lot of great, amazing lenders that work in the Arizona area if you guys want to use them. If not, no problem. I highly suggest that you guys go with someone local. A local lender will be able to give you so much more information about the market here in Arizona. Arizona is not like every other state. I am licensed in multiple states. So I can tell you for a fact that the market here in Arizona is definitely going to be different than the market in Colorado, the market in California. They're completely different scenarios. So we want a lender that kind of understands that. And another thing is, if you do have a lender that has a good presence in Arizona, it does help us win offers a little bit easier because they know, the listing agents will know that you're going to be able to get the job done essentially. So I think that's another really important thing when it comes to picking a lender, is making sure that that works. But again, I am not tied to anyone specific. You guys can use whoever you want, but if you guys want recommendations, I would love to give those to you guys. But that's number 2 on lists of things that you need to do when getting ready to relocate. All right, guys, step number 3, you are pre-approved. Yay, congratulations. Now you have an idea of what your budget is. So based off of your budget and kind of the areas that you guys have told me that you're interested in and how many bedrooms you want, whether or not you want a pool or no pool, we're gonna come up with a game plan, and then we're gonna start looking at houses, which is obviously one of the, I guess, more stressful and most exciting parts of the whole entire process, is getting to actually go out there and start looking at properties and seeing and hopefully finding your dream home, or a home that you could see yourself and your family moving into at least for the next couple years, if this is a starter home for you. Anything to get you into the home buying market, right? So depending on what your goals are, we will look for homes accordingly. Once we start looking at homes, basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set you guys up on a search. You guys are gonna send me houses that you probably like, and I'm gonna send you hand-picked homes that I think might work for you as well. I think that's super important, and will hopefully lead you guys in the right direction of like finding something that you really love. It's a lot easier for me I look at homes every day and all day. So I go through a lot of properties and I can really read a picture, and I can really tell what a client wants at this point on like exactly what their goals are and kind of matching these two things up together and seeing a whole vision. I know it's kind of hard for some people to envision that whenever, especially if they're not in person. So just keep that in mind. I do help you guys as much as I possibly can on really finding that property that you're gonna fall in love with. So once we find houses that we like, we will set up showings, whether you are in person or virtual. These are two things that are obviously huge factors when it comes to moving, especially from out of state. It is really, really hard to look at homes when you're not here, but I try to streamline that process and make it a little bit easier for you guys so you can find a property and not be stressing out about, you know, not having something when you're moving. That could be very, very stressful, and I try to avoid that at all costs because I don't want you to be stressed, and when you're stressed, I'm stressed. So let's avoid that at all costs. But we want to, when it comes to virtual tours, we want to make sure we are finding homes. We are going, I'm going in person, and you guys are on FaceTime. There's a million different types of applications to use where we are essentially on a video call, right? And we're going over anything and everything in that house. I'm very, I guess, purposeful and honest when it comes to my virtual tours, because the worst thing I could ever imagine is you getting here and not liking the house. So I am up on those baseboards. I'm telling you exactly how the carpet smells, if it smells. I'm telling you the conditions of the cabinets, and we're really going over everything, even down to like somewhat of an idea of sizing of rooms. I know that's really important. So I do go in depth on that. If you guys can come in person, even better. I think that's a great idea. Sometimes we don't have that built into our timeline. If we're trying to move in the next 2 months, it's going to be a lot harder than someone that's, you know, maybe 6 months out, and they can come in, fly in, take a look at a house, hopefully, you know, find something on that first trip. But it's a little bit easier of a scenario whenever you are not super rushed. But again, we go over that in our little Zoom call. I break down all of this stuff for you guys, so I'm not going to go too much into detail on the whole home buying process and what that looks like, because we would probably have about a 30-minute video, and I know you guys don't want to sit through that necessarily. So definitely virtual is an option. In person, even better. If we can't do it, we make it work no matter what. But that is going to be our next step, is just finding a home. All right, so we found the home. We have an accepted offer. Congratulations. Next step is going to be going through the entire buying process. I'm going to make this very, very short because, like I said, we would probably have a 30-minute video if I went over every single step in detail. So after you guys go under contract, you're gonna turn in your earnest money. Then we're gonna have our inspections, of course. Then we're gonna have the appraisal and just wrapping up all the loan stuff. And then we are going to have closing day. In Arizona, it's a little bit different than in some other states that I've learned from. You do not get your key at the signing table. So I know that might be different. Like, for example, in Colorado, you do get your key usually right when you sign. Here in Arizona, it's a little bit different. We are typically not getting our keys until we record, which could be, depending on the time of the day that you sign, could be at 5 p.m. on closing day. It could not record till the next day. It's super, super dependent. So keep that in mind when you're planning for movers. I find that to be a situation or a conversation that I'm having a lot with buyers, is that they think that they're getting their keys at the signing table, but actually they're not getting them for potentially even 24 hours from then. It really is super, super dependent on like how fast the banks are going and things like that. So just keep that in mind. But once we are under contract, guys, and we're kind of like that halfway, actually, honestly, after inspection, I would feel pretty confident in, you know, you guys moving and not having any major hiccups in the road. Obviously, I am not, what do they say? I don't have a crystal ball. I can't see into the future on every single transaction. But most of the time after that inspection period, we've really solved everything that we need to solve. I guess the appraisal is another potential hiccup, but we are trying to mitigate all hiccups and doing that research in advance, and hopefully it should not be a problem. But we want to start scheduling all of our movers. Arizona, luckily, we don't really have any sort of weather problems beside it being super hot. So anytime that you decide to move, you probably will not run into any weather problems within Arizona. Keep in mind that doesn't mean, depending on what state you're moving in, if you're moving in the wintertime and you're moving from Wyoming and you have to go down to Arizona, you might want to think about, you know, what that process looks like and planning ahead of weather, making sure you're not going to have any problems when it comes to that. When it comes to moving and planning, like what type of moving trucks you're going to be using and things like that, please make sure you do your research. I've used U-Haul in the past, never had an issue. I've used U-Haul twice now. One time we got a truck and we drove it here ourselves. The other time was the pods where like they come, drop it off, you fill it up, they pick it up, and they take it to your destination. That was super awesome, and it was about the same price as the truck. Honestly, if I was going to calculate my time into money, then I would probably be saying that the pods are cheaper, and then also the gas money that those U-Hauls take, it's crazy. So honestly, I would say that the pods end up being the same price, if not cheaper. I've seen other people use other companies. It really is just dependent on what state you're coming from, but definitely do your research. I've heard horror stories on that. So make sure that they're reputable and you have everything in place for that kind of situation. And then obviously we want to make sure that you have dealt with the property that you're living in now. So whether or not you are planning on selling a property, you guys can let me know that back in, you know, the beginning on step 2, whenever we're doing our Zoom calls. You definitely want to let me know that you guys have a house to sell, because I can set you up with an agent that is familiar with relocation, who I trust and can get the job done. Because when it comes to, you know, syncing up those timelines, I think it's super important. So we want to make sure we're making the right moves. And if you're not selling your house, then we want to make sure that, you know, we're wrapping up our lease. We've already turned in our 30-day notice. Or we're going to turn in our 30-day notice after that inspection period, just in case something, God forbid, was to happen. We want to make sure that we still have a place to live. Just making sure you guys are wrapping up the loose ends on your house. That way we can get ready to move. Okay, so we are about a week out from closing at this point, and we want to make sure that we have all the utilities set up to be turned on in our names as soon as we close. So that way, if we are getting here on closing day or a couple days after, we are good to go on that end. So things that you guys need to keep in mind is water, gas, electricity. Wi-Fi is a super important one. If you guys do use Wi-Fi, which I don't know anyone that doesn't use Wi-Fi, but if you do, you want to make sure you have that, you know, scheduled for somebody to come out and get that set up for you guys. There's nothing worse than getting somewhere and forgetting about that, because where are you going to stay, especially during the summer? If you didn't have that AC turned on, whew, it's going to be hot in there, and you guys are going to have a horrible time moving, if I'm being quite honest, because it's like not even bearable to be in there at all. We want to make sure that you guys have all that kind of stuff set up and ready to go. So keep that in mind. Another thing, once we've kind of gotten here, we're either getting our keys or have gotten our keys, we really want to make sure that we're getting all the loose ends tied up with changing to a new state and residency. So we want to make sure that we're changing our mailing address. We want to make sure we have our cars registered and get our new Arizona license and license plates. All of these things that are kind of like super annoying, and then sometimes we just forget about them altogether. But we want to make sure that we're doing those kind of things, because the longer we wait, the more annoying it's going to get, and potentially going to get you in some sort of trouble, or you're going to miss a really, really important piece of mail because it got mailed back to your old address, all of these things. So we want to make sure that we are doing that kind of thing. Other than that, you guys are going to love living here. It is a beautiful place to live, lots of new experiences for you guys to have, you and your family, or meet new friends. It's a really good time in your life when you are moving to a new state, usually at least, as long as it's not forced. But even if it's forced, we can make the best of things and we can really enjoy our new living situation. My mom If you guys have watched my videos, she's a realtor. I moved a lot when I was a kid and I loved moving. I know the packing is super annoying and even the unpacking is super annoying, but the decorating, the exploring, all the things that come with moving to a new state, you'll love it. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button. I wish I could include anything and everything that had to do with relocating in this video. It's a very tedious and long process, but I tried to make it a little bit less stressful for you guys. But I know you're probably gonna have a million more questions. Even while you're researching, you might have questions. So go ahead and reach out. My number and email are popping up. I love helping you guys. I love guiding you, I guess, in the way of like how to navigate Arizona and what to expect in all the different cities. Cause like I mentioned, you don't wanna move to the wrong place. Every single city has a different vibe and you've never been here before probably. Or maybe you've only been here a couple times and you definitely need guidance. So anyways, go ahead and text me or call me if you have those questions and hopefully we can chat soon. And then if you're not quite ready to reach out yet, go ahead and subscribe. I'm gonna be posting videos every Monday and Thursday at 5 p.m. so you guys can get tons and tons of more information so that way you can research more. Yeah, but hopefully I get to talk to you guys soon and I'll see you later. Bye.